I'm Austin Lugo.
I'm Andrew Harp.
This is With Nothing to Say.
Let's talk about risky business.
Before we get started today, next week we are going to be watching Police Story, directed by the Jackie Chan. Andrew, you picked this movie. Is there any particular reason why you picked this one?
It's just a really good comedy kung fu movie with incredible set pieces. That's about it. Great fighting, great set pieces. You can't go wrong.
Awesome. I don't think I've seen a Jackie Chan movie in quite a long time. Certainly never one directed by Jackie Chan. So I am very excited. So this week I got to pick the movie, and I picked one of my favorite 80s movies, Risky Business. Tom Cruise is one of his, I think it's his earliest role. I think it's his first big role.
It's basically the movie that made him a star.
Yeah. And I think it's one of my favorite 80s movies. I mean, it's absolutely wonderful. But Andrew, what is this movie all about? What is Risky Business?
It's like written and directed by Paul Brickman. He never directed a movie before. Yeah, it's like a coming of age, like teen sex comedy, drama film. Tom Cruise. He plays this guy named Joel, and Joel is like, he's a coming of age. He's like about to graduate. He lives in Chicago. His parents are wealthy. He wants to go. His parents want him to go to Princeton. All that shit going on. And like I said, he's about to graduate high school, and he just feels kind of like empty. Like nothing is really like. He just feels kind of like bored and empty, and he just wants to like kind of party a little bit. But he also wants to be like successful at the same time. Like he doesn't really want to be too much of a slacker. So yeah, he's going through some complications.
There's certainly a couple of complications. When I first watched this movie, which was probably like 8 or 9 months ago, maybe it was close to a year ago, Emily and I were just scrolling through HBO, and we were just picking something to watch. And of course, everyone knows the famous scene from Risky Business. And so like we kind of expected this sort of lighthearted John Hughes-esque, just like 1980 comedies, something like Pretty in Pink or The Breakfast Club. I mean, whenever really people talk about this film, that's kind of how they portray this type of film, and it is of that era, and it definitely takes a lot from the sort of 1980s coming of age tropes, but I would say it's much darker and much sexier than your
Yeah, it's more erotic, a little bit more erotic. I see why you like the movie because you're a big fan of The Graduate, and this movie reminded me of The Graduate a little bit. Yeah, The Graduate, it's kind of like a dark comedy, and this movie kind of is too, a little bit. Dustin Hoffman, he like just graduated college, and in this movie, he's about to graduate high school. But and both of them are like, having sex, and they're like, in these like weird sexual relationships and stuff, and there are fights and different stuff like that.
Maybe I just am really drawn to this sort of existential crisis moment. I think there's something really interesting about this kind of post high school, post college time of a person's life. And maybe it's because we're still sort of in the area. I mean, I just graduated college a year ago, and there's just something very scary about that, I guess you could say. There's something just heavy about the idea. And, this is kind of, I guess, the crux of the movie of your entire life supposedly is kind of dependent on, especially this one moment when you're graduating high school, those last couple of months of high school, like so much pressure is put on you because like it matters what college you go to, and then what college you get in depends on what job you get, and then you're just kind of like your entire career is decided by like an 18-year-old version of you, which is just a really strange way for the world to work. It's how it functions. I mean, of course, not nearly to the degree that most 18-year-olds think it does, but it is sort of terrifying just how much of your life is dependent on kind of this like one decision that you make as just a kid with a not fully developed brain. I mean, just really just a kid.
Yeah, and but at the same time, I think like this movie and The Graduate, they also are kind of like you could say that like, oh, the message of both these movies are, living in the moment. But in both cases, when they live in the moment, their life becomes worse. Like they barely get what they want. They actually really don't get what they want in both of the movies. And at the end of Risky Business, it's a little bit more nicer, I guess. Yeah, with the case of Risky Business, like I guess like to kind of talk about the movie a little bit. Like I said, like Joel is hanging out with his friend and he's got like this friend named Miles who's like wants to go to Harvard and they're like talking and the opening scene though is like him like talking about a dream in which like this movie's like a little artsy, it's like a little like it's artsy and like like it's like Tom Cruise explaining a dream and you see the dream of him like going into a neighbor's house, like going through the house, going upstairs and then opening a door and like a woman's taking a shower and they like have a conversation and he like tries to walk over to her and like the room gets like longer and then like it's in the before and when he opens the door he's like in school and he's like forgetting to take a test or something like that and that's like the opening scene of like I don't know if he's like supposed to be explaining this dream to like his friends or something or I don't know. I guess it just kind of sets up like kind of like the movie or like his preoccupations, I suppose. The preoccupations of our main character.
Yeah, there's like this voiceover that comes every now and then, which I guess is kind of talking to the audience, but at the same time, it's sort of tongue in cheek, I suppose. It's kind of like adapting the kind of John Hughesian, voiceover. It's sort of making fun of it because like most of the voiceover doesn't like really have anything to do with anything. Like the whole dream sequence, like you said, it's not clear if like he's explaining to us, the audience, or he's explaining to his friends. And it doesn't really have anything to do with the film other than the fact that it kind of sets the tone. And as you said, his preoccupations with sex and as Miles says, sometimes you just need to say what the fuck.
That's like the next scene. He's like chilling and hanging out with his friends, and his friend Miles is like, "Yo, you just have to like let loose and have some fun. Like, look, your parents, they're gonna be gone for a week, right?" And he's like, "Yeah, they're going to whatever." And he's like, "Okay, you just need to fucking have some fun and go nuts." And he's like, "Huh, okay." And his first night when his parents are gone, he like drinks and he eats food and he like dances to like shitty music. He goes crazy in his like bedroom or whatever.
On that first night, of course, there's that whole POV shot where like his parents are explaining him like all the rules and how they trust him.
Oh, right. That's a good part too, where like
And they
that's a
kind
good
of like
part.
follow him around the house and through, and of course, like they're talking directly to the camera. So, and there's a lot of this in the film where there's kind of this first person aspect to it where you're kind of, in the brain of sorts of Joel and he's following him around the house and they're kind of explaining the rules and don't do this and don't do that. But we trust you and blah blah blah.
Don't touch my equalizer.
It reminds me, I guess you're right. The parents of this film remind me a lot of the parents in The Graduate, in which like they simultaneously do trust their kid because like he's basically an adult, but they also kind of want to control his entire life and what he does with it. He's hounded by this constant pressure. And I would say, in certain ways, even more so than The Graduate, although, of course, they're both kind of these wealthy kids who are living up to the expectations of their parents. But he gets this first night alone. He dances to shitty music. And there's this scene where he's eating this frozen dinner and he doesn't heat up the frozen dinner. It's just, he just takes it out of the freezer and just like,
He's like doing a little joke to himself alone, I guess. Like it's like okay.
I don't know. And he has this like he pours this glass of bourbon with just the slightest bit of, I mean, it's so much bourbon or whiskey or whatever. I mean, it's just like a full glass and just a splash of Coke. It's gotta be really gross.
He's digging it. Yeah, look, Tom Cruise, one of the greatest actors of all time. He is absolutely fucking insane. He is an insane person. You can see it in his eyes that he is crazy. There's something about when you watch like a Tom Cruise movie. Well, when I say Tom Cruise movie, I mean a movie starring Tom Cruise from this movie and on. There's something behind his eyes, dude. Like there's something like absolutely like vile. I don't know what it is. It's just like he's a great actor because I think he as a person is just so weird. And these early movies are very interesting. These early Tom Cruise movies because like these are before he does like Mission Impossible. Pretty much when he does Mission Impossible on forward, he does like a lot of action movies. But these early movies are basically him doing like comedies and dramas and stuff like that. Oliver Stone movies, Top Gun, Days of Thunder.
Yeah, Tom Cruise, I don't know what it is, but there's like this certain darkness that just underlies everything about this movie. I think the movie is absolutely perfectly cast and really all of its performances, but I don't know, there's just something about Tom Cruise that's just so, I mean, I guess you said right. There's a vileness of sorts in it. This just like, even no matter what he's doing, even if like he's telling a joke, it's just everything is so like cold and dark, and he just I don't know, there really is like this kind of craziness that you can kind of see in his eyes. I don't know if that's just because like Tom Cruise is Tom Cruise or what, but it's just always like there.
Like when he smiles and stuff, it's like, oh my God, there's something about him. Like when he like smiles and stuff, like there's something like so weird about it. Anyway. Yeah, like so yeah, he's doing this thing and he hangs out with Miles again. And Miles like he's like, yo, you should pay for sex. Like you should get a call girl. And he's like, no, I don't want to do that. And oh, he's like teasing him and stuff. And they're like, he's like reading like, there's a pretty funny scene where he's like reading like the different like call girl newspaper ads and stuff like that.
In like a newspaper, yeah.
And he gets to one named Jackie and he's like, oh, call Jackie and have a good time, and he like calls and he says and he calls, he's like, oh, I'm just gonna call. And Joe's like, all right, well, fine, if you're gonna call. And he's like, hey, is Joel come to my house at? And yeah, yeah. And Miles just like, well, there you go. And then yeah, it's later that night, and then someone comes to Joel's house, his nice house, and of course, like you said, Joel lives in a really nice big house because his parents are rich as fuck, and all of his friends are rich as fuck, and it is a transgender woman that comes to the door, a black transgender woman. All American comedies from the 80s, basically until like the late 2000s, loved making jokes about maybe even until the early 2010s. They love making jokes about trans women. Like they all like have like little jokes. This one isn't as bad as like some you might see in like screwball sex comedies in like the 2000s. I've seen some like recently out of curiosity to see how they are, and like they always have like a transgender woman joke, and it's like the most offensive thing in the world. Like I'm not like easily offended or anything like that, but like it is just like disgusting. This movie isn't really like offensive. It's just more kind of like, I don't know, Joel, like, he didn't really want it in the first place. I guess. I mean, he does. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think it's like, I don't think it's very mean spirited. Like, I don't think it's trying to be like.
The actor also is given like a decent amount of screen time as well.
And like actually has given lines, and she's honestly one of just the most badass. Like she knows what she wants, she knows what she needs. She's fucking awesome.
She's fun. Yeah, she gets paid, and Joel's like, okay, and Joel isn't like mean to her. He's just kind of like,
it's just like clear that like Joel is out of his depths and doesn't know what he wants, and like yeah, it's like it's a miscommunication of sorts, but it doesn't really feel like it's a jab necessarily at the woman at all. Like she's just doing her thing. She's just there to do her, to get her money. And Joel's just immediately like, he's so uncomfortable with the whole situation. Like, I don't even think it really matters that it's a transgender woman, because he's just so fundamentally uncomfortable with the idea of sex with another person at this point that, just anyone being there is just so confusing to him. And just the whole like back and forth between them, because like she's just like, I'm gonna come in, gonna drink some coffee, like I'm just gonna do my shit,
and I want $75 because I had to get a cab all the way here, and yeah, that's fair. And it's like, okay. But before Jackie leaves, Jackie is like, here's like a number for someone named Lana. I think she says like, white boys who live like at these neighborhoods, this is what you want. And he's like, okay. Yeah, it's like that same night, right? And he's like, he's bored. He's kind of sitting around in his room. He's like horny, he's clearly very horny.
He has this weird sex dream where he tries to sleep with the babysitter, and like the police come and
Come on, get out of there. I like to, and it's a pretty like well shot film. At this point in the movie, I was feeling like the movie was like a little, and I still feel this way. I think the movie is like a little bit clunky in terms of like the directing. There's something about it that I think kind of like sometimes it kind of takes me out of the whole experience, the way that the movie is shot and the way that the movie is like pieced together with like the dreams and stuff like that. Like I think it's like a pretty creative movie, like visually, and I think it looks generally good. It's very competently made, but there's something about it that kind of just doesn't feel seamless to me from beginning to end. Yeah, once again, like it's a very competently made movie. Like I think it looks generally good. Everything is fine. It's just there's something kind of awkward about it, and it's like construction, and it's kind of hard to say why. But I do like that scene where like yeah, the police come and it like backs out, and like they have like huge windows, like they don't look real. That's good.
it's a wonderful scene. The police come, his parents show up, her father shows up. It's just like the epitome of everything he's terrified of. He doesn't want to get in trouble. Like he thinks his whole life is like dependent on these like couple of decisions. And if he has sex with anyone or does anything wrong, like his whole life is just gonna be fucked up. But then he can't do it. He can't sleep. So he scrolls through the newspaper. He wants to fuck. And he can't find any of the call girls. So he ends up calling Lana. And I love the scene where he calls Lana because he puts on like this baseball. It's like a catcher's.
It's like a catcher's like mask helmet thing, yeah.
Because he's just so absolutely terrified of.
He's like embarrassed too. Like he can't even like be normal like in the phone call. It's a phone call. He can't even be seen. Yeah, that part's really good. He like sits weird in that when he's calling too. He sits like a baby. Like he sits like because he's like in his underwear. And yeah, he calls his girl. And yeah, it's like when she arrives, that whole scene when they arrive and then they have sex is very wispy, right? It feels like a fucking porno, right? Because he's
There's like a wind machine somewhere.
yeah, he's like sitting down and then like she like comes in,
just
and,
walks in.
It's a Lana played by Rebecca De Mornay, very hot. And yeah, it's just like you said, like there's like a wind machine. They start making out and taking off their clothes, and like I think the door behind them like busts open. Yeah, there's some like fantastical elements to it like that where it's like that's not real. But yeah, it's funny though. And yeah, they just like have sex.
They sure do.
And Tom Cruise, Joel, he likes it a lot. He has fun having sex with Lana.
They just jump from location to location having sex. They have sex on the stairs. They have sex.
They have sex all night. Yeah, it's they do it. Yeah,
they do it all night. And this is one of the things that, not necessarily the sex, but one of the things that I love about this film is even the scenes that are very much real feel sort of fantastical. And I wouldn't say I necessarily had this experience as much as this time because I had seen it before, but it can be hard at times to figure out like what's real, what's a dream, what's he imagining. There's just like this element of phantasm that just runs through the whole thing, especially like at night. I think that's like I feel like the only way to watch this film is at night. Like it really is a film. Like it's like kind of like after hours in that way. Like even though this film, like there's plenty of scenes during the day, I don't know. There's just something about the aesthetic.
It's labeled a teen sex comedy, but it's more like an erotic drama than anything. It's more kind of like I'm trying to think of like I don't know, like another movie or thing to compare it to. I've compared it to The Graduate, but yeah, it's like not really like it's funny. It has its funny moments, but and like the thing that it's known for, like the brothel stuff, that really happens at like the last 30 minutes of the movie. Like it's a very small part of the movie. Yeah, but yeah, it's just more like of like an erotic drama thing than a comedy, like a teen sex comedy.
And so they have the sex all night, and the next morning Lana's like, okay, you need to like pay me because that's my like that $300.
I want $300. Like, whoa.
I mean, like I guess it's your. I mean, she's doing her job. She needs her job, and of course, Jules like, I don't have enough.
Like,
and I was like,
I only have 50.
What were you expecting? You just think it'd be free?
Yeah, I don't understand. He's just like, he's so stupid. Like, I don't understand like why he, I don't know, whatever. He just called and he's just like, okay. And why wouldn't she like know that there's money like there, you know, like why would she like want to be in a situation in which like she wouldn't get her money?
I think she knew all along what was going to happen, or maybe she didn't. But I mean, like, you walk into this really rich person's house, like you're probably not expecting to like not get paid. I mean, I don't know how like it usually works. Like if it's kind of like you pay up front or whatever.
That's what I would do.
I mean, it seems like the way to go. But for whatever reason, he's like, okay, I'm gonna go to the bank and cash my bond because apparently every rich person in like the 80s had bonds.
This comes into play later in the movie. Yeah, he's a rich person. He's got like a $500 bond.
And so he goes to the bank and just leaves her at the house. Just this woman he's never met who is a call girl. And he's just like, okay, I'm just going to leave and I'm going to come back. And of course, when he comes back, this crystal egg thing, the glass egg thing that you've made this huge deal about the whole movie has disappeared.
His mother's glass egg. She's gone and like, fuck. He's like, fuck, I got robbed. And she didn't even get her $300. So yeah, he's pissed off. He wants like egg back because he does not want to get in trouble with his parents. He and his friend Miles, they go to a hotel because they're able to call Jackie and they're like, okay, go to the hotel. It's like a nice hotel. The Drake Hotel? Is that like an actual, that must be an actual hotel in Chicago somewhere.
It's a Chicago.
Yeah, like it's in Chicago and all of his movies. Yeah, so it's very like yeah, it's a Chicago movie. It doesn't look cold enough for me. Obviously it gets really hot in the summer, but I don't know. I feel like it should be like a little colder or a little like dreary or cloudier. Yeah, she goes there and she's like and he sees her there. And you know, they have that scene where they make eye contact to let her know that, you know, he's there. And then she's like with a client or with someone and they walk away and then they leave and Miles is just like, what the fuck? Like, you know what? That's it. And he's like, well, now she knows we're onto her. And like, he's like, what the hell? And then she runs out and she's like, hey, Joel, can you like give me a ride, please? My manager, he's upset with me. And he's like, no, I want my egg. And, you know, they have like this little comedy back and forth where, you know, they're arguing. And then this guy named Guido, played by Joe Pantoliano, who's great. Very early. He still has his hair. He's like, Lana, get out of there. And like, they're in his father's Porsche, by the way. Like he took his father's Porsche. And he like and then yeah, like Guido, he like brandishes a gun and they just have like this little scene where they're just arguing with each other.
I love Miles, just like in this whole first half of the movie, because like at the beginning, they kind of like play him off as kind of like your, you know, what the fuck slacker, kind of just like go with the flow kind of guy. And of course, you know, every movie of this era kind of has that. But I love what they do here is that the moment Joel like meets with Miles and it's like, hey, like I actually did it, like I actually did what the fuck? Like Miles is immediately out of his depth.
Miles is like, why would you do that?
Like that was definitely all bullshit.
Yeah, he's just kind of like fucking with him. Miles just likes to fuck with Joel and Joel actually did it. And now Miles is like, oh fuck. Because he wants to go to Harvard. They're all worried about the same things.
I think what I love about it is because, you know, so many movies of this era, when you think of like the slacker character, it's just like they play it so seriously. Like it's just like this guy who doesn't care about anything and he just cares about himself and he just does whatever and blah, blah, blah. And then, you know, in this movie, is Miles supposed to be that character? And then the moment like he's actually put in that situation, especially like with the car chase scene, which is the very next scene, he's like he's so terrified and he like does not want to be in the situation at all. He just like hates it. He hates every single second of it. It's just like the worst thing that ever happened to him, and it's great. I love it.
As you say, they have a little bit of a car chase, probably the most action-packed scene in the movie. And Joel is able to escape and get to his house. And yeah, and Lana's just like, look, like my stuff is in my own apartment with Guido. Like I don't know what to do. You know, they have sex and, you know, and then the next morning they have like another argument about where like
He's gotta go to school.
He's like, look, I got to go to school. So you got to leave.
Please just leave.
He's like, please, like I have to go to school. Please leave the house. And Lana's like, has like a fit, you know, she just kind of like, no, like there's not really anywhere for me to go, you know? So, and I think she said like, I need to make a few phone calls and like, and I'm going to try to get your stuff back and all this stuff. And he's like, okay, fine. And he runs all the way to school, leaves her there. And then you get like this little, you know, montage of him in school being completely impatient and annoyed with everything.
Just tortured by everything. I love just how absolutely incompetent Tom Cruise is in this movie. Like Joel just like, I mean, he's just like entirely out of his like he legitimately feels like an 18-year-old kid who's just entirely out of his depth. Like he has no idea what's going on. Like he goes to school even though he's just met with a call girl and was went through a car chase, and yet like he is an 18-year-old kid and he does have to go to school. So he's got like midterms and shit to do, and he just, even though he recently just left her at his house and it did not go well, he just does it again. He just immediately does it the next day. And he has there's this whole montage where he's waiting for the date to end, and he just like feels like shit. And of course, between this, it's cutting to the call girl, and they kind of create this sort of scene where she's like, it looks like she's taking stuff, like, she's taking cars, she's driving around. And the last time you see her before he gets back to the house, it's like she's at a train station. And so like the thought is like, oh shit, like she stole a bunch of stuff and then left because of course she did. Like that's what she did the first time.
Yeah, for a second I was just kind of like, oh wow, is she really gonna do this? But it's just his imagination. He actually is able to leave. He gets pissed off and he's able to leave school, and he gets home and his friends are there, and he's like confused at first. He's like, what the fuck? And one of his like shit eating friends, not Miles, but the other guy who like he's like an asshole. He looks like he's a punchable face. He's like, did you like fuck Lana? He's like, no, I did not. And then like all of a sudden another lady appears, another hot woman appears behind him named Vicky. And he's like, wait, what the fuck? And he goes in and like, yeah, like Vicky is now there. It's another prostitute. And he's like, what the fuck are you guys doing? And like, yeah, Vicky tries to give Joel money. Like, here's your cut.
50 goes to the house.
Here's your cut. Here's like some of the money that your friend gave me. And he's like, what? No, leave. And he like kicks them out.
But of course, the moment he kicks them out, within like 5 minutes, Guido shows up and he's like, I'm gonna get you. Like, I'm gonna beat you all up. Tom Cruise, of course, or Joel, whatever, has no idea what he's doing. And he basically just harbors them as if they're fugitives. And I love the whole thing where like, it's very clear that Joel is way out of his league. Cause like, this is like a man who does this for a living. Like this is his job. And it's just like, I love it. I mean, every scene that he's in.
Yeah, Joe Pantoliano is so good.
He's so great.
But people might know him best from like the first Matrix movie, but he's great. He's got a great voice.
I love it. He's just like nefarious. Like he's just an awful human being. And he just plays it so well. Just like so like snarky and cruel. And Joel's just like, I have no fucking idea what I'm doing. And he's just like, I'm gonna get you. And they're just like, yep.
Yeah, he doesn't know. Yeah, he's like, I don't know what to say. Yeah, they just have like this little like altercation. And yeah, they're just like, can we please spend the night? And he's like, okay.
One night.
Yeah, fine. Yeah, one night. And he's like trying to study, right? They're like all hanging out.
He's got midterms.
He's like, I gotta study for my fucking midterms. And then Lana comes into his room and they have a conversation. She's like, have you ever been high, Joel? Yeah, I would probably stop studying too. Honestly, yeah. And he's like,
I've given the option.
He's like, we're gonna go get ice cream and stuff. And he's like, okay, let's go. Okay.
Let's get really high and eat some ice cream.
And they like go and get ice cream. They go out to the pier and like Tom Cruise is high as shit. Which of course makes me think of Eyes Wide Shut when they smoke weed. This pot is making you really aggressive. They're like high as shit eating ice cream, and it's like Joel and his friend and Lana and Vicky, and they're hanging out. And like Lana and like Joel, they have like a heart to heart conversation kind of.
Because like Joel supposedly like wants to get to know Lana, and he asks her like questions about like her family, why she's here, blah blah blah, and there's not a whole ton of this, but it's very clear that like Lana's past life was like not good. I mean, it was just a shitty situation.
She mentioned like her like abusive stepfather and all this stuff.
I mean, what's interesting is almost everyone in this film, other than the parents, are like super young. I mean, even like the call girls, like they're almost like all in their like like it feels like late teens, early 20s. Like it feels like even though like Joel's in high school and he's got to go to school, it feels like everyone in this is kind of like around the same age. Like there's no real
Everyone feels like they're just like
yeah
18.
yeah it like they just all feel like a bunch of kids. They have this heart to heart. They're leaning on his like his dad's like fancy Porsche or something. It's a Porsche, right?
Yeah, it's a Porsche.
And of course, like Lana makes the joke. I guess like I don't know if it's a joke necessarily, but like he's like kind of like, oh, you should do this or you should do that. And she's like, dude, you're like leaning your dad's like $50,000 car. Like, shut the fuck up. And of course, she like when she goes to grab something, like it doesn't really matter what it is. She like puts the car in neutral or something like that.
I don't know. Like it's just the car is now moving on its own and you can't stop it. And it's getting closer and closer to falling off a pier.
And he's just so terrified. Like it's the worst thing that could. It reminds me of that scene in Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Yeah, I thought the exact same thing with the dad's car, destroying the dad's car. It's gonna fall off a cliff. It's gonna fall into the water.
He's so terrified, and he gets so close to the pier, and then they get to like the very edge of the pier, and it doesn't roll off, and you're like, oh, thank God.
Oh wow, that he did it.
He did it. Joel's okay. And then the pier just absolutely crumbles.
Yeah, it just the pier collapses and it sinks into Lake Michigan.
It's great. I love it.
Yep. So his life is ruined. He like goes to a repair shop and it's gonna be really fucking expensive. And he's like, fuck, what am I going to do? And he's completely distraught. It's kind of amazing, like I said, like how late this happens in the movie, but Lana comes to Joel with the idea that, look, you know, everybody that lives around here, all the dudes that live around here have rich parents and they all have like basically like hundreds of dollars of disposable income. I'm going to get all of my friends to come to your house. And for one night, it'll be a brothel. And all of your classmates and friends can come and fuck my friends for like 300. Like we're basically just going to fill the house with $300 call girls. And then you get a cut. And yeah, like I get a cut and it'll just be like, and I'll manage it and all this stuff. And he's like, I don't know about that. He's like, fuck, I don't know about that shit.
But at this point, he's like, he feels like his life is ruined because like the very next scene after he goes to the mechanic shop is, of course, he goes back to school because he's a kid, right? He's a kid. And he has this conversation with like the nurse who like writes all of the like like excuse kids and like absence and stuff. And he just gets like so mad because he's just like, look, like I just had the like shitty, like he just keeps trying to explain what fundamentally is like a ridiculous premise. And she just does not give a shit at all. He's like, look, like this, like if you do not give me an unexcused absence, like I'm gonna fail like a bunch of my midterms, my whole GPA is gonna be on, like, you know, just like listen for a minute. And she doesn't give a shit. She doesn't listen at all. And then he like threatens her, like he grabs her by the collar. And then we cut to next scene. He has and it's nighttime for some reason.
He's suspended.
Yeah, and he's suspended.
It's like he was there all day. I guess like, yeah, he had after school detention or something.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, but he's like, yeah, he's suspended and he's fucked. You know, he's like suspended for 5 days, and yeah, he's just pissed off. And you know, the fucking car is fucked up. He like is at Lana's apartment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he goes to her apartment.
And they basically, I think, yeah, they agree to do it, right? Because he doesn't really have much to lose at this point.
Yeah, he's like, fuck it. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, as the movie, yeah, continually says. And yeah, like you get the whole, once again, this is kind of like the sex comedy part in the movie, but not really. I mean, it's not like that funny. It's very cut and dry. They have like a big party at his house.
I love the whole, before like the actual party, he goes on like this whole sales scene. And it's kind of like this like Ray Kroc style, just like running into people and like going through this. He has this long thing where he's like talking to these two kids at like a Dairy Queen, and he like does the math.
he does the Ray Kroc thing. He does like the Wolf of Wall Street thing, right? Like where he's like trying to sell the thing. Yeah, and he's like, how much money did you spend? And he's like, da-da-da-da. He's like, and what happened after she fucked another guy? You know, he's like trying to like get these guys to be like, look, all you got to do is pay like a couple $100 and you will guarantee have sex. You know, it's like, okay. And yeah, he in the voiceover, he's talking about how Lana is like a great like entrepreneur or enterpriser or business person or something. And honestly, like this part of the movie probably should have been, I would have preferred more of this part of the movie. It probably should have been a little bit more of like a centerpiece. And it just kind of feels like the very end part of the movie. I feel like it probably should have been up more of the movie. Just because like it's very entertaining to watch. Yeah, Joel is like super cool now. He wears like a jacket and like glasses, and he's like fucking awesome. You know, he's super cool. Like those kind of images of like Tom Cruise with like the sunglasses remind me of a John Hughes movie a little bit. Like that's something out of any of his movies. Yeah, and they're getting like mattresses and stuff, and yeah, they're going nuts.
I love it. I mean, I agree. Like, there's this whole thing kind of at the beginning, which is like this idea of like just like making a shit ton of money versus like actually, because there's this whole conversation at the beginning of like, you know, do you want to like actually do something with your life or do you want to just make a lot of money? And I don't know why I'm like always drawn to like entrepreneur movies, especially when like the entrepreneur ends up like not being a good person, like the founder or like this. And I would certainly love to see.
Social Network is probably another one.
Yeah. I'd love to see more of the kind of like salesman stuff because that's like it's probably one of my favorite scenes, just like him walking around selling people shit.
And before that, you know, they have that little class, right? What's it called? Like the Founders Club,
Free enterprise.
Free Enterprise, where it's like a club where he and his friend have to make a product and like kind of like sell it or like pretend to sell it or something like that, and they have to present it. And when he gets suspended, he gets kicked out of it and stuff. So that's kind of running through the movie as well.
Absolutely. Capitalism, man.
But ultimately, sex is the thing that will make everyone the most money.
Sex sells.
Yeah, it literally is just sex. Like that is what they are selling, is having sex. You get to have sex. Everyone, I like how like yeah, like the house is filled with like 20 like $300 call girls. Like everyone is like really hot. Like it's like
And just a
okay.
bunch of children, like legitimately, like
It's just like high school kids.
it's just like 14, 15
Like
year old
what the fuck is
kids.
going on? Yeah, but like yeah, I guess it doesn't matter if you have $300. Well, obviously it's illegal. Well, it's like illegal twofold.
For a lot of
Yeah, I
reasons.
mean, but yeah, I once again, I think everybody's supposed to be like 18 or 17. So
Sure. I mean, there's definitely some of those kids that look like they're like 12 years old. I mean, it's not like,
you don't see them have sex. You really
yeah, you don't see them have sex.
you really don't see a lot of sex in the movie at this point. You pretty much just see like Joel and Lana have sex. Those are the only two people that have sex in the movie. I think it's an erotic thriller, but the movie doesn't have like a lot of sex or nudity going on for laughs or for eroticism. Either way, yeah. So like they're at the party and the party is going well. You know, the party is live. It's going nuts. They're having a good time. Joel is of course like worried about everything. And then like the motherfucker from Princeton shows up, which is kind of weird. Can like guys like show up like that late?
I mean, they set it up at the beginning of the movie, right? Which,
Oh, I guess they did. Yeah.
right, he's like, this Princeton guy is gonna meet you Friday, like 8. I mean, I guess it's winter, right? And like in Chicago, like the sun sets at like 5 fucking o'clock, right? It sets super early, so it might only be like
If it's supposed to be winter, I don't believe it. It doesn't look
it's not
cold,
cold
but
enough.
that's okay.
Yeah, whatever. It's like 8 o'clock at night. It's nighttime, and the Princeton guy shows up, of course, just basically in a brothel, and he's quite confused. And Joel's like, "Fuck!" So he takes him to their office, which, of course, just like time and time again, like people keep fumbling into, and Lana keeps like bringing like beds in there and like moving stuff around. Like I just want to go to Princeton. It's very clear that the conversation is not going well at all. And at the end of the conversation, Joel's like, you know what? Just
Shut up, bitch.
what the fuck? I'm going to fucking North Illinois, Northern Illinois or whatever fucking college.
Yeah, I'm going to. I think he said like I'm going to University of Illinois.
Yeah.
I don't know, stuff like that. Like it's iconic, but I don't know. That scene, like it's good. It's just kind of weird. Like for some reason, something about it I think is off in the tone for me. But it is a good scene. It is very funny, and of course, it is very of course like of course this would happen, right? Like of course, like the guy shows up, and like for the Princeton shit, and he's completely fumbling it, and his resume isn't good enough, and but the guy stays. The guy still like hangs out for a while because there's hot women there.
Hot woman, and he is a man.
he's the man, the Princeton guy is there. And yeah, he like becomes friends with Lana's friends and stuff. And he's like, huh, he kind of stayed. That's cool. And he like I like how when he leaves the house and he's like all happy. And I'm like, no, like, okay.
Wonder what's gonna happen.
Yeah. The next scene is very strange. Like they decide to like have sex in public, Lana and Joel.
They want to have sex on a train. She has a thing. She has a thing for trains, and they play the Phil Collins song.
Phil Collins in the air tonight. Yeah, they play In the Air tonight, which is really fucking funny. Yeah, they play that song while they're having sex on the L. They kick off a homeless man.
They sure do. This whole long scene where like they're waiting
for the homeless man to get off.
They're waiting for the homeless man. They're waiting for people to get off because like the whole thing is like controlling your urges, and Joel's complete inability to just like control any of his urges, and just that long scene where like people are coming off the train, and then of course finally they like push this homeless man onto just a bench or whatever, and then they go at it. They have sex on a train. I don't know why.
It's on the Chicago L, I believe.
Yes, yeah, it's on the Chicago L. And for some reason, like whenever they have sex, I always imagine there's fog. There never really is, but like whenever I have it in my head,
it's just like but it is dramatic.
There's something foggy about it. Yeah.
By the way, this movie too, like when I saw in the credits, I was like, oh fuck, really? Score composed by Tangerine Dream, which is very interesting. I wasn't expecting the Tangerine Dream score for Risky Business. It's really weird. It kind of doesn't really fit very well, but I do like Tangerine Dream. I like their music a lot. They're like an ambient electronic group, so like the soundtrack is like fucking like Blade Runner or something.
It really is.
But it's good. Like I like Tangerine Dream, so it wasn't like it was kind of a treat, but it is kind of like a weird like choice. But whatever, it's fine. Yeah, they have sex on the train.
They have sex on the train. They do it. They have the sex, and then Joel, he gets the car back. He drives really slowly and safely back to the house. He's like, I fucking did it. Like I made the money. I got the girl, I got the car, I'm gonna go home. It's all gonna be fine. And of course, he walks into the house.
All this shit's gone. All the fucking furniture's gone.
Everything's gone. They just cleared the fucking house.
And I think he immediately thinks it's Lana, which is an understandable thing to assume. And he calls her, but when he tries to call her, Guido answers, and Guido's like, yep, I stole your furniture, motherfucker.
Oh shit.
And he's like oh fuck. He's like, I probably should have just killed you, but I stole your furniture, so you should be, you're lucky. He's like,
you should be grateful.
And Joel's just like, can you just give me my furniture back, please?
I love that whole conversation because it's very clear that Joel has no idea what he's doing. Guido will just like every time Joel says anything like mean, he'll just hang up. And he's just making himself some tea. Guido's just making himself some tea, just like doesn't give a shit. And Joel just keeps calling back like over and over again. And like every 10 seconds, he like hangs up on him because like this is Guido's business. Like this is what he does for a living. Like he doesn't.
Yeah, Guido's in control.
He's complete control. Like Joel has no idea what's going on. And it's very clear that like it's not one of those things where like, oh, he's gonna like outsmart the master. Like it's very clear that Joel's just in over his head and he just fucked up.
And yeah, I expected this part of the movie to go on longer, but it really doesn't. Guido shows up and they have this little scene where like Joel has to like buy his furniture back from Guido. And it's like, how much you want for like, all right, for this, I want such and such money. But I mean, like, he's just going to give him all his money, so. And yeah, he's able to get all of his furniture back. And he's like, I want the fucking egg. Of course, the fucking egg, the glass egg. He's like, oh, I only have 40. It's like, well, I'll spot you or whatever. He's like, yeah, sure.
Spot,
okay.
Yeah.
And the woman that he's with throws it. And there's that fucking like, it's like something out of a sports movie. It's like he like jumps over his like couch and he catches it like a fucking football and he falls. And then Guido is just like, fuck you, and drives away.
He's just sitting in the back of a moving truck, wide open, drinking a beer. He's great in this. He's great in everything, but
should probably be in. I wish he was in it a little bit more, but that's okay.
Yeah.
And yeah, like, by the way, and at this point too, his parents were supposed to get picked up at the airport by Joel, but he didn't. But they're on their way in a taxi cab. So he has to like rush all of his like furniture into the house to make it seem like nothing was wrong. And then his parents arrive. And, it's like the thing where they're like, As his parents are walking in the door, he's like jumping over the couch to sit on it to appear relaxed. And they're like, "Hey, you were supposed to pick us up." It's like, "Oh, I thought it was tomorrow." He's like in the clear, he's really good. Everything's back.
He's like, I did it.
And his mother's just like, "Joel, you stupid, dumb idiot. You broke my egg."
Like there's a tiny fucking scratch.
There's like a crack in it. There's like a crack in
Crack inside, like the middle of the egg. It's like,
and she like noticed it. And he's just like, I don't know. Like
must have already been there.
he's kind of dumbfounded. Yeah, she's like really pissed off. And he's just kind of like dumbfounded. He's just like, okay, like
I did all this fucking shit. And this is like all for naught.
it's so stupid. Yeah, she's like so pissed off about the stupid egg. Such a stupid rich person thing to do. It's so funny. He's like completely like, okay, whatever. And he's like out. And so to like appease her, he's like raking leaves in the yard. And yeah.
He puts on the cool glasses. And for some reason, I always remember this being the last shot of the film, just because like it kind of mimics the opening shot. But then like I forgot that there's this whole thing after this, and he's like putting away his the rake or whatever, and his parents do that thing. His dad like comes out and he's like, I know what you did. I have something to tell you. Like I know the whole thing. Of course, there's like this moment of like, oh shit, like what does he know? And he's like, you got into Princeton. Like the guy called me and he's like, you did a great job. Yeah, they need someone like you.
Yep, they need someone like Joel to be at Princeton. It's like, what the fuck? Because like, yeah, like the guy, he's like, you're not really like Princeton material. But then like after like I guess having sex with a bunch of prostitutes at his house,
He's a businessman.
that made him realize like, oh wow, like yeah, this guy should be at Princeton because he fucks, like he's sick. He's a fucking Chad. There's something kind of dark about it almost. Like it's kind of funny, but it's also like just,
Like the whole system's just like gross.
it's like a Tom Cruise kind of reminds me of like Patrick Bateman a little bit, like from American Psycho, like this character. And also in real life, this is like the risky business Tom Cruise Joel character is like Patrick is like it's like Patrick Bateman before he goes to college.
He goes to college. It really is.
He's probably Joel probably has a little bit more humanity than Patrick Bateman does. But yeah, there's something kind of like gross about it, because he doesn't really get punished for anything that he does. Joel,
I mean, he gets away with it.
yeah, he gets away pretty much with everything. He doesn't really do anything like super awful, but prostitution's illegal. Yeah, he doesn't really get in trouble. He fixes the car miraculously.
Does it all. He gets back all of their shit. And then they have those like final scenes where they're like at Future Enterprises or whatever. And there's like people presenting, they're like, I made this fucking paper towel holder and I made a profit of
I made like
$800
or something.
And this guy's like, oh, I did blah blah blah. And there's that final scene. They're at the pier. It's nighttime because of course it is. And Joel's with Lana, and Joel's like, I made $8,000 in one night, and I did it.
Yep, I did it. He's like what does he say? I made $800 by selling like human what does he say? He says
like entertainment or something.
No, not entertainment, like human like desire or something like that.
Yeah,
some
like
shit like
that.
Something kind of funny. And yeah, he and Lana, they like kind of like talk about like what they're gonna want to do in the future. And Pete makes like a joke about getting paid by her. And yeah, and that's the end of the movie. They walk away. It's kind of a nice ending, but it's also like okay.
And that's the movie. That's risky business for you.
That's Risky Business.
Yeah.
Starring Tom Cruise.
The Tom Cruise.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and get my thoughts. Overall, pretty good movie. I enjoyed it for the most part. Like I said, it reminded me of a bunch of other stuff, like The Graduate, especially. To me, I think the movie is just fascinating because it is like the movie that created the star that is Tom Cruise. And to me, that's the most interesting part about it. Honestly, it's pretty funny. It's pretty erotic. I don't think it really like goes super far in any direction though. And I think, like I said earlier, there's something weird about the directing to me. It just feels like a little bit inconsistent and a little awkward. a little bit jagged. It doesn't feel like it has kind of like this really strong kind of vision, in my opinion. But it's very competently made. Like it looks good. Everyone in it is good. The dream sequences are done pretty well. It has a pretty good story, and I think the writing in it is good enough. Yeah, it's just kind of like a middle of the road movie for me. But it is good. It is a good movie, and like I said, just like that early. There are other early Tom Cruise movies I prefer. Early ones like Color of Money, Top Gun, Days of Thunder. I think these movies are all better, especially The Color of Money. Yeah, I prefer that early Tom Cruise performance, but this movie's good too, and I think it's fine. I'll give it like a 6 out of 10.
Like I said, when I first watched this movie, I was expecting kind of the lighthearted, coming of age, John Hughes esque 80s movie. And I think the juxtaposition of that and what the film actually is, especially because like there's a lot of scenes in this movie that are very famous. And whenever people talk about Risky Business, they always talk about it as if it is the sort of 1980s teen sex comedy, which, as you and I have made very clear, is it's not what this film is at all. I think that juxtaposition kind of really hit me the first time. And there was just something really wonderful about that first experience. And this is the earliest Tom Cruise performance I've seen. And he's just fucking insane in this movie. And I love the kind of dreamlike qualities to it. I love that it's almost always nighttime for some reason. I love the aesthetic and the neon lights and, all of the great kind of sound design and, just music in this is really fun. So this time around, I don't think I enjoyed the experience as much as the first time, maybe because I knew like what it was, I knew what it was about. So, I didn't kind of have that like jarring experience, but I still love it. I still love Tom Cruise. I love every time he does something that's just so fucking stupid. I love how out of depth he is. I love how he doesn't really learn a lesson. I love the entrepreneurial spirit of it. I'm going to give this film an 8 out of 10. It's a good time. I liked it. I had fun. All right, y'all. Thank you for listening. You can find this podcast wherever you get podcasts. You can also find us on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at With Nothing to Say Pod. And you can find me at AustinLugo12.
I'm on Twitter at 80harp24, and I'm on Letterboxd at RetroAndrew, RETR0 Andrew.
And thank you all for listening.
Thank you very much.